This is what we did around the holidays. That's
That's Thanksgiving turkey.
that's our turkey that we actually ate that dinner, and this is what we were doing while the parents weren't looking. We were making a little Christmas adventure with the devil and some elves. So we were doing some tests with the animation puppets using
Yeah,
the turkey.
the family was downstairs waiting for the turkey. We were upstairs making an animated movie.
Yeah.
We liked the shine that the grease gave the devil. And it's an appropriate holiday subject there. Ooh. The sword was actually one of those cocktail toothpicks.
Hmm. Well, this is one of our major productions. This was done in about 1967.
Yeah, and then finished in '69 or something.
Yeah, The Beast from the Egg, filmed in Kyoto Mation, The Miracle of the Screen. That's me, Stephen Kyoto, when I was about seventh grade, maybe.
And there's the egg that he found, which is basically aluminum foil. Going down in the basement, for people in California, you don't know what basements are. Basements is when you go downstairs underground. There's a room down there.
And again, we were inspired by, I think, Ray Harryhausen's 20 Million Miles to Earth. This is about an egg that hatches and this creature grows at an alarming rate.
All single frame animation, clay hands, and it was like fur put on a G.I. Joe because G.I. Joe had the articulated armature.
And
That's our sister.
that's our sister Diane and a very young me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Edward.
let's see who they are. This is funny reaction shots.
Okay, it's growing, and the puppet is slightly different because this was filmed and inserted, years later. All we did was move it closer to the camera. Could you tell? There's little Edward, baby Edward.
Here's my sister Diane.
Sister Diane.
And there's me.
I was filming. Dad paneled the basement.
So just
And I guess I remember we had done storyboards and blocked this entire thing out. We were shooting off of boards
And this is perspective. Stephen had to remain as still as he could, and we animated
in the
in the
foreground.
foreground. He didn't notice. And we
In fact-
actually animated, pixelated the actors.
In fact, all the effect shots in this movie are perspective shots, utilizing live backgrounds.
And if
and
we had,
one miniature.
yeah, we did duplicate a successful miniature here of the living room, the basement door. And actually, if we'd have mounted the lights on something stable, the lights wouldn't have moved around so much. I think somebody was holding the lights in between exposures.
That really surprised our parents. They didn't know how we did that. It was a pretty good miniature for those days.
Balsa wood. This was the end of the film originally, and then years later we picked it up to film an ending for it. So the puppet's a little different. It was a wire armature and fur on it. And this is me. I think I was in college, first year of college. I might have been about 18 years old. I pick up Dad's pitchfork to fight the monster.
And again, this entire film is reminiscent of those monsters on the loose type pictures that we loved as kids.
And once again, the only way you can be killed by the monster is if you fall down. Bob
And-
fell down.
And stay unconscious.
Now, the funny thing about Bob, it took like a half an hour to film that sequence with the monster walking in, but he had fallen on an anthill, and the ants were crawling all over him, and he said, "Can I move?" I said, No, we're not finished with the scene yet. And here I'm fighting the monster with Dad's brand new pitchfork. And you can see, I'm being animated. Stephen was animating the character, and I was moving with it. Except when I was moving, the puppet couldn't move. So Stephen was directing, he was animating, he was directing my movements. There went Dad's pitchfork. We never found it after that. I don't know where it went. I think I threw it in the tree. But this is Bob's first car. And we jump in, and we have to get away from the monster.
And when this next shot, this next perspective shot, we photographed about 12 or 13 times before we got the coordination right.
Well, close.
Close.
And when I'm thinking about it, we should just had a string attached to him, knocked them down, and it would have been so crucial.
Hmm.
But this is the monster on the rampage. Some pretty successful things here. You know, the animation's not great, but you know, in high school, it you know, it was pretty impressive.
Now, it's interesting. I didn't know anything about depth of field or apertures or anything. So seems like the perspective worked a lot better when it was brightly lit, and then it didn't work as well when it was dark. Because, again, I had no understanding of aperture.
Yeah, what it was an autofocus and you know, an automatic aperture. So when we were operating, when the lens was closed down, f11, f16, everything was in focus. But when the sun started going down, it was dark. You know, you're shooting at f4, and you wondered why the foreground and background were out of focus.
But we organized all the kids in the neighborhood, and we had a cast of thousands participating.
That's on Park Avenue in Deer Park, Long Island. I think it was sometime in October, because you could see the leaves were changing. See?
We were losing light.
Losing light. We were saying, geez, how come this one's out of focus? Okay, and then the sun came out. I think we filmed that on another day.
Yeah, it's another day.
And that was, again, another stick. You have to kill monsters with sticks.
Trusty spear.
Thank God.
Tough work.
And this is funny here. I think we have the Chiodo Brothers logo again here.
Yeah. We're always looking for the best.
Yeah. Chiodo Brothers Productions.